Touchdown times. Touchdown times. Won't you look at the time? It's time to get some tutties. It's touchdown times.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another round of Touchdown Times. You have your co-host, Alo Andrew here, as well as Savvy Sav. How are you doing today, Savvy Sav?
Doing spectacular, man. Good football weekend again. It looks like a lot of the games were somewhat close. A lot of games we thought maybe the underdogs would win. It seems like the favorites kind of pulled it out this time. Not a lot of big upsets that we thought, but still a pretty good week, man. And I'm excited to go over all of it.
Yeah, we got a ton of great matchups to go through, and we're just going to set the tone real quick. We do have a special guest on air who I will introduce in a minute, but we will get into the special guest, and then we will follow it up with a Week 6 recap where we talk all things football that happened this week, and then after that, Week 7 preview. We talk about primetime games Thursday, Monday, and Sunday night games, and we got some exciting matchups in that regard as well. Fantasy football coaches corner, where we get into all things fantasy football. Well, we'll move into the betting segment, odds and ends, and it was a great week for betting. I know our guest has got some great bets out there that he won, so fun to go over that with him. Touchdown trivia. We got another touchdown trivia question for you, and then we'll wrap things up. Be sure to follow us on Touchdown Times, and Instagram, as well as Spotify. Give us a like, listen, and subscribe. But we'll move right into the interview segment where we have a special guest, my boy from Verizon Wireless to the 530. He is a longtime football fan and Raiders fan. He is the commissioner of the Fantasy Fugs and head coach of the Vegas Bangers, my boy Hector. How you doing today, Hector?
What's going on, fellas? How you doing, guys? Great to be here.
Doing
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we'll move right into the interview segment, and we like to just discuss with our guests all together. Who's your team for those on the audience that don't know you, and how are they doing this year, Hector?
So my team is the LA, Oakland, Vegas Raiders. Yeah, we know how they're doing today. We just traded away Adams to the Jets. So that's pretty crazy news to wake up to. Um, Pretty much right now we're in I don't want to say tank mode, but we're definitely kind of pumping the brakes on the season. It seems like we just need a quarterback that's gonna that's gonna take us a little bit farther than AOC and Gardner Minshew. Um, so that's pretty much where we're at. Brock Bowers he's like the bright spot in the team right now. He's he's like the Ferrari in the shack. I don't know if you guys seen that meme. But he's definitely the future in the team right now. So that's pretty exciting right now. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Going into this season, did you have, a different ideology of kind of like how this would play out? I mean, your off-season moves I thought were a little mixed in some of the Raiders fans that I've talked to with Gardner Minshew, as well as, you guys acquiring him and Aiden O'Connell and not really getting a quarterback in the draft. Did you come into the season, with different expectations this year, or you kind of was like, what are some of these off-season moves were questionable in your opinion?
A little bit questionable, but we did get Tom Telesco from the Chargers. So adding him and having our coach, uh, I didn't really expect too much. I was kind of hopeful that maybe we'd get Penix, but the Falcons pretty much changed the whole draft right there with getting him. And after that, I knew we weren't going to be able to get a quarterback. So Bowers was a good choice, I feel like. But I actually wanted Fields. I thought he would have been a great addition. I mean, he's killing it right now with the Steelers. It only took what, a fifth round, I believe. Is that what you guys got?
Yeah, we got him
Yeah,
cheap for
yeah.
for yeah.
It was like a fifth round, and we ended up getting his offensive coordinator from the Bears, which they don't get along. So I knew right away that we weren't going to get him. That was a mistake. We should have done the opposite. But yeah, it was just a lot of bad choices, I feel like. We'll see though going forward what if we even keep the GM. So yeah, I'm hopeful for the future, but yeah, it seems like a rebuild right now.
Nice, man. Well, yeah, we could be hopeful for the future and, have things to look forward to. But I want to take a question and ask about the past. Do you have a favorite moment or maybe a game from NFL history that would define the spirit of your team?
Um, well, there's some really like glory years where before I was kind of into football, but the ones I can remember are some of the games I've been to, which so after the 2016 season, where the Raiders actually made the playoffs, Carr got hurt going into the wild card. It was the 2017 when they played the Chiefs. And I don't know if you guys remember that. It was like a Thursday night game. It had like three or four different endings to that game. The refs were all over the Raiders, and Crabtree was on the team still. They ended up pulling it out, but there was like three different flags at the very end, and the Raiders ended up pulling it out. And I was at that game. That was probably my favorite Raider moment. Um, that was one of the best games I've ever been to.
Damn, they came up. Came out on top even after the refs. That's
Yeah, yeah,
surprising.
yeah. The Raiders are known for hate. The refs hate on us, but I mean,
Yeah.
everybody could say that.
I would say for you guys, not just your players, but I think your fans, man. There's a lot of resiliency, and you guys, always go whatever you're going through. It seems like you still keep your head held high. You're always ready for the next challenge, and I
Yeah,
wish the best for you guys, man. I feel like you deserve to have that next big starting QB. Get a solid core around them, and I don't know. And that you're right.
yeah,
That 2016 off season or the playoffs, I was rooting for you guys. I was really hoping you'd make a good run, and having Carr
yeah.
go down, that it just that was tough.
Yeah, it was Christmas Eve when he went down, which is kind of crazy. I was at Verizon and it was halftime and I went to Buffalo Wild Wings. When I got there, it had just started and he got injured. He broke his leg. And I couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. I was like, is this real? But no, I mean, as a Raiders fan, we've gone through a lot. I mean, the whole Gruden thing, the Henry Ruggs thing, that was gut wrenching. That was
Yeah.
wild. Couldn't believe that happened. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Just gotta just win, baby. That's what Al Davis says, right? We just gotta figure out a way to do that.
No, that's
Yeah.
fair.
Something I saw on social media, and one of the questions I just wanted to throw in here. I've seen Max Crosby, and I don't know if you saw this, but I think he's frustrated, and rightfully so. I think he's expected to have better seasons in the past, and he's one of your better players, and really the face of that franchise that I see. And we saw him shove a coach. Do you know anything about that? Like, was it just kind of like out of frustration? Did you
Um,
get any insight into that, or is it
from what,
something just? Go ahead.
yeah, from what I was reading, he was talking about how that's his guy, and um, that's how they communicate. But what he was giving him shit for was that some of the guys weren't getting off the block, and he wasn't holding them accountable. So he's like, man, you need to like get on these guys, like, and that's why he pushed them. He's like, you need
Mm,
to get on these dudes, like they're not getting off the block, they're not doing their job. You got to get on them, and that's why he pushed them. But yeah, I mean, Max Crosby's that guy. I feel like that guy has it together. He's gonna be a Raider through and through.
yeah, he definitely embodies that Raiders spirit. Thinking of some of the other great players in NFL, just do you who would you say is the greatest NFL player? And what really sets them apart from others, I guess. You can do a quarterback, you can do it by position, you can just do one, entirely up to you. But who's one of the greatest players of NFL of all time, in your opinion?
Right now or all time?
We'll
Um,
do we'll do both. Do both. Pick one of each.
um, trying to think here. Um, well, right now I would say Derrick Henry. He's one.
Derrick
He's
Henry.
yeah. That I mean, he was on the Titans. I mean, that team wasn't really doing too much with him. He was still eating though. He was he kind of made him. I mean, he made him a lot better. But now you can kind of see with actually having a team around him, what he can do, he looks like he's aging backwards. I mean, the dude has the longest run in the NFL right now. He's got the most yards, I believe, uh, rushing yards. He's just he's going he's having the best season right now. I would say he's just a phenom right now in the league.
Awesome.
What about you? Who do you think?
Ooh, that's a big question. Man, in the league right now, man, part of me is just thinking like fantasy football, and I'm not trying to go just off that. Um, I don't know, some of these wide receivers are just Justin Jefferson is going crazy. And he's doing it with multiple different quarterbacks, which I think is insane. You know what I mean? Between Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold and the quarterbacks that have filled in that in between, like he's an elite receiver in my eyes, and has really taken the next step, becoming that face of that franchise for the Vikings, who are 5-0 this season. So I would say that's definitely an argument in that sense. For me, um, yeah, I mean he's good in all aspects of the game, right? I mean, in fantasy and you know, as far as his team is going, doing it with the different quarterbacks he's done it with, and just being elite and having the type of seasons he's had, even with battling through injury. So that I'd probably choose Justin Jefferson as a wide receiver right now currently. So have you got a greatest in term right now?
Currently, right now.
Yeah,
Man, that is definitely
it's
a
it's a
tough
loaded
one.
question.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to say, I mean, when he's healthy, McCaffrey, I still love to see him play. I just the kind of cuts that he can make. Um, but personally, who I like watching the most right now is Saquon Barkley. I think being able to see him come back from his health, and then obviously get to come to the Eagles, I love that. And then seeing him kind of go through college too, it's just yeah, all the even after all the injuries and issues he's had, just when you give him that ball, man, he just seems like he can make anything happen. So I'd probably just, you know, a little biased too for the Eagles, but I just enjoy seeing that.
Uh,
All right, I got one last question for you. We're gonna talk more about fantasy in another segment, but do you happen to have any good trading advice now with the trade deadline coming up for some people? Yeah, do you have any kind of strategies or ideas when it comes to fantasy trades?
well, we all know that what matters is the playoffs. So definitely looking at some of the players that you have and what their fantasy matchups are, like the teams that are like the Niners right now, they have a pretty good fantasy playoff schedule. So um, I would try to get as many Niners that you could. Um, that that's probably the biggest thing. If you have some good pieces and you have guys that are struggling and they have maybe like Christian McCaffrey that's on IR, maybe trying to do a trade so that the way they can get some wins before the playoffs and you're stacked and ready to go once McCaffrey comes, because I think McCaffrey's going to come back. And I think he's gonna be a league winner. I'm not sure what do you guys think, but um, yeah, just kind of positioning yourself for the playoffs. If you got some wins on your belt, but if you're like 2-3, or if you got like if you're struggling right now, or you're like 3-3 or something, I wouldn't recommend doing that. But just kind of depends on your record. But we all know the playoffs are what matters. You can be 6-0 right now, but if you can't win a playoff game, you're done.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think I was looking through a lot of all my leagues, everyone who's gotten McCaffrey, most of them are struggling. They're either at 500 record or less. So I think they're probably all prime people to maybe hit up and see if you're willing to, you know, make some deals with them. That's
Yeah, for
smart though. That's
sure,
smart.
for sure. Even like Nico Collins, he's going to be out for a little while. So, I mean, if you've got some good wins right now, I'd maybe try seeing if you could get a trade for him. That way, because he'll be back for the playoffs for sure, I believe.
Yeah. Okay, nice, nice. All right. Well, hopefully, yeah, we'll get to talk more about that later in the podcast. Go a little more with fantasy, some in-depth stuff. But yeah, so we'll move in from the interview segment. Thank you very much for that, Hector.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll move into our week 6 recap. We'll go over some of the matchups that we had and got to see. And yeah, we'll just kind of dive in from there. We'll start up with our Thursday night match that we had. It was the 49ers taking on the Seattle Seahawks. 49ers ended up taking up the win 36-24. This was a huge bounce back game for San Francisco. Originally, I think when we talked about this, we kind of thought maybe the Seahawks had a chance for an upset, but they would kind of get back onto their grind. But yeah, San Francisco relatively just dominated this, and it seems like they still make Seattle kind of like their little brother. Andrew, what did you see from this matchup? Was there anything really interesting to you or that caught your eye?
No, I think we kind of called this, last week where we thought this was going to be a bounce back game for San Francisco. And it seems like each time these teams, two teams meet, San Francisco walks away with the win. They start off strong early. A field goal in the first quarter. Second quarter, they went up, another 13 points. And then from there, they kind of just started to run away with it. On the receiving side, Deebo Samuel's 3 receptions, 102 yards, 1 touchdown. Can't ask for a better average than that. Brock Purdy getting it done through the air, 18 completions, 255 yards, and 3 TDs. So it's great to see Brock Purdy still producing through the air and getting, Deebo Samuel back and some of these other receivers involved. Yeah, I think it really sucks for Geno Smith on his birthday to lose one and have 2 interceptions in that regard. And it looks like they held Kenneth Walker, 14 carries, 32 yards. He did get a touchdown, which helps for fantasy purposes. But altogether, San Francisco had a great game, and they went into Seattle and they took care of business. And it just seems like they're going to be the top of the division for that specific division there. But yeah, that's kind of what I saw. Hector, did you tune in to this game? Did you catch this game? If so, what were your thoughts on this one?
I did watch some of it. I was playing against Metcalf in fantasy, and I know he had a touchdown called back.
Yeah.
I think this is the second game in a row that he's had that. So he's hurting right there. He looks frustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to kind of tighten it up there because he's a beast. He can score at will. Um, but if they're getting called back, he's not going to be happy. But it almost looked like Seattle was coming back again. Like I feel like the Niners have been letting teams come back the second half, and I almost felt like that was going to happen again. Um, but I guess they got right. Hopefully they can. Um, yeah, their record I feel like should be a lot better for how talented they are.
Hmm.
But maybe they're going the right direction now. We'll see though. But that was a pretty good game. Very high scoring.
Yeah, it definitely was. So yeah, we'll get to wait and see and see if the Niners can keep control of that divisional lead. I will move into the next game. This was probably our game of the week. I think this was like Fox called it there, America's game of the week. We had the Commanders taking on the Ravens. Ravens, I felt like pretty handily won that game, 30-23. Now both teams go for 4-2, and well, let's just dive right into it. Hector, what did you see from this game? Was did you catch America's game of the week? Was this a big matchup for you?
Yeah, I actually had this in one of my parlays. Um, I I was really impressed with Jaden Daniels, not just because I have him in fantasy, but honestly, there's already talks of him being rookie of the year, which is kind of obvious, and even MVP. I don't know if that's a hot take, but he's. I mean, what other quarterback right now is besides what Lamar maybe, and Mahomes? But those are names you definitely want to be in the conversation. Um, and he's a rookie. It's just wild. I don't know. That was a pretty good matchup. I think it could have gone either way, but towards the end there, the Ravens defense stepped up.
Yeah, no, they definitely did. Andrew, do you have anything on this one?
Yeah, no, I think Jaden Daniels continues to impress me week in and week out. And even if they took the L in this specific game, this was a good Baltimore Ravens team. It's at home in Baltimore, so going into that stadium with those fans, and on top of that, just producing the amount that he did, 23 points. He threw for 2 touchdowns, over 260 yards. He's getting the tight ends involved. Zach Ertz, had 4 receptions, 68 yards, and overall, just a great day. He is. I believe he definitely deserves to be in that MVP talk in that race there. And I think he's got the offensive rookie in the year kind of locked in. He just needs to stay healthy and continue to do what he's doing. But what a turnaround for this Washington Commanders team and this franchise for them, right? I think that both teams were pretty evenly matched going into halftime. And but on the third and fourth quarter, I think the Baltimore Ravens were up and they just played good defense, and they came away with the win by a touchdown. So overall, just a great game. But I'll turn it back to you. I know Zay Flowers had a day, 9 receptions to 132 yards. Did you see anything, from any of these other players, these Ravens players that you want to point out, Savvy Sev?
For the Ravens side, no, not really. I mean, yeah, Zay Flowers did have a great day, and I think fantasy purposes, it seems like he's getting his stride. And thank God for Mark Andrews getting more targets now. 66 yards in the day for him. That was probably pretty big. On the Washington side, I think McLaurin, great guy if you can pick him up. I know he went up against a pretty strong pass defense, but I think for the future with just Jaden Daniels play, I think McLaurin would be a great guy, great asset, wide receiver one to have. It seems like he is one of the go-to guys. He had a couple deep balls get thrown to him, so I think they're going to scheme him up in that way. And that touchdown catch that he had, the one where I think his elbow just barely touched before he went out of bounds, that's insane. And I was pretty hyped to see that. But yeah, definitely a good day for him, and yeah, someone to look into. But alas, Ravens took the win. I know that was my upset of the week last week. That did not hit. The game was so close. I think the spread moved to 7 right before the game started. At least I think. So I wish I would have grabbed it at 7. I didn't. So there was no push. I ended up losing that completely too. So yeah, it still wasn't too bad though. All right. So moving in to the good old Eagles playing the Browns. Eagles basically squeaked this one by 20-16. This was a big one for the Eagles to win. Obviously, I sat and watched through this entire game. There was a few points where I was very disappointed. By halftime, right before halftime, there was the blocked field goal that went down for a touchdown. And so that was just tough to see. But I think from there, the second half, the Eagles kind of started stringing it together a little bit more when it came to Jalen Hurts making better decisions in the passing game, getting AJ Brown more involved, and they kind of just needed to get to the point where they could seal it at the end of the game. They said to ice it. And I think our defense schemed up a little better. We were able to stop the run again, and Deshaun Watson looked pretty decent for how bad he's been playing this season. So it's not great to see, but we had both of our rookie cornerbacks start. So great to see Cooper DeJean come out and do his thing. And they both played pretty well. So I'm happy with that. And I'm excited for the future. But yeah, overall, all right win. I'll live with it. I definitely need to see more from this team, but I'll take it. We'll go 3-2 and beat the Browns. Hector, did you get a chance to watch this game at all?
I didn't get to watch that one. Good to see AJ Brown back. I'm not sure how. Did he end up scoring a touchdown?
He did.
Did.
He did.
He did.
Mhm.
Okay, nice. Yeah, good to see him healthy again. He's definitely fun to watch.
Yeah.
But
Um, yeah, this game for me was a comeback game for AJ Brown, a comeback game for Devonta Smith, and it was good to see them. They both produced well in fantasy this week. AJ Brown had 6 receptions, 116 yards, 1 touchdown, and Devonta Smith, I think he got 15 plus points in fantasy. So it's good to see these Philly receivers back in rotation and helping out in the pass game. And I think that took a little bit of the weight off of Saquon Barkley. He only had 47 yards on the day, but when he's been pulling the weight for the past couple weeks. I think he deserves a light game here. With that being said, on the other side of the ball, the Browns, they dropped to 1-5, and at this point, you're starting to question a lot of different things as a team, as coaching staff, and it's just concerning if you're a Browns fan, right? They just traded away Amari Cooper, their number one wide receiver, away to the Bills. So we'll see how that plays out with him and the Bills, and see how he does on a different team, especially moving to the second half of the season. So we'll see how it plays out. But if you're a Browns fan, it's hard. It's a hard season for them, and we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. But good win for Philly, and to take the dub and move to a 3-2 record, and still looking good in their division. So that's all I saw out there.
Yeah, they may be already pointing to rebuild again if they're dropping Cooper. I don't know what they're going to do about Watson, but clearly I don't think he's the guy, even though they spent a lot to get him. So just weird decisions overall by that organization. But hey, I'm sure as a Steelers fan, you're happy to see them crumble and fall apart, right? Um, all right, so moving into the big game for both of you guys. The Steelers went to take on the Raiders, and the Steelers ended up getting out the win, 32-13. Just from my point of view, it looked like this game was somewhat close in the start, but the Steelers just ran away with it. And I feel like this has been a storyline for the Raiders. They seem to get good starts, and then they just seem to fall apart once teams make adjustments. Not much they can do. So we'll start with the team that lost. Hector, what did you see? How did this game feel for you? And what are your thoughts on this?
Well, we started AOC this time. We benched Gardner Minshew, so that was a little bit concerning just because he hasn't really had a lot of playing time. He did all right. He did pretty good, like you said, the first half. But I feel like the Steelers just kind of leaned on the run, and they just kind of. I was watching Angry Runs today. Najee Harris he's a monster. He's a he's one of my favorite players to watch. So um, it was just that's pretty much what they were doing. They were running the ball, leaning on him, um, and there were some pretty big mistakes from some of our. We had a rookie running back that fumbled. J.J. Watt, that guy's just a veteran. He punched the ball out. Just some key plays that he did that pretty much changed the whole game, the trajectory of the game, and yeah, I mean, I didn't expect the Raiders to win, but I didn't know they were gonna blow them out at the end like that. So yeah, that was yeah, wasn't the best game to watch, but I do like the Steelers though. I'm rooting for Fields.
Well, we'll talk about that. I've heard Russell Wilson's getting first team reps, so we'll see. We'll see if he takes over that spot. But moving to Andrew, how did this game feel for you? Do you feel like this team's back on pace? Are they getting it together?
Yes, definitely. Justin Fields continues to impress me as QB1 right now. And overall, it was just a great game. To see the Steelers come out and have the offensive production that they did. Najee Harris really got going. He had over 100 yards that day, a touchdown off of 14 carries. It would have been nice to see George Pickens, actually reel in some of those balls and move the chains down the field a little bit. But overall, just a great game, and the defense side always shows up for the Steelers. I think TJ Watt had two peanut punches, forced fumbles, and we had an interception with Deontay Jackson, and so it just continues to build the momentum and to keep the train moving. So it was a great game. I won some money, won some pizza on this, so it was a good game, man. It was a good game nonetheless, and I'm excited for where the Steelers are headed, and it was a great win. Nonetheless, I like Hector was saying, Najee, he's breaking tackles, running down the sideline, jumping into the end zone. Chris Boswell's doing his part, and kicking these field goals, and keeping them in the game. So just overall great game. I will say when it comes to the red zone, Justin Fields tends to hold on to the ball a little bit more often and then kind of use his legs, which I'm not opposed to, but I'd like to see him, I'd like to see George Pickens get involved and get a touchdown. I think it'd be good for his ego. It'd be good for the morale of the team as well. This was Najee's game, but overall, just a great game by the Steelers, and a hard fought win. So yeah. Great game.
Nice. Well, that was a great game. We'll go into a not so great game. We'll move into the Lions handing the Cowboys an all-time ass whooping, 47-9. I don't really have much to say on this, just other than that Lions look good. They are able to get everyone out there to score. Dave Montgomery's a touchdown machine. He just scores every week, and I think he just hammer that on either underdog or prize picks every week. And yeah, Dak's pretty trash. They couldn't really do much here. The worst thing I saw in this game was Aiden Hutchinson's injury. That was a really
Mhm.
tough watch.
Yep.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I love
yeah.
seeing, honestly, he's one of my favorite players too to watch. So just seeing him go down was definitely a tough time. But other than that, don't have a whole lot to say. Hector, I'll start with you. Do you have any thoughts on this game?
No, that was a big loss to the Lions, though. Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson's a beast. He's probably, I mean, their best defensive player. There's already talks of Max Crosby going to the Lions, and Max had a reply and said, "Nope, I bleed silver and black, not black and blue." I don't think he would go to the Lions. I mean, they'd be unstoppable if he was there, but that's definitely gonna impact them in the playoffs. I feel like because I had them going to the Super Bowl. So with with that, they're just gonna have to get more creative on defense. And yeah, this was a blowout. I didn't even watch Ferguson. He didn't do good. CD, I don't even know how many points he got. The whole team pretty much ate it. But I mean, I always enjoy the Cowboys losing though, so I can't I can't
Yep.
complain.
Think we all
Yeah.
enjoy seeing that.
Yeah. Yeah, this game I think Dak turned the ball over two times and out of 33 attempts he only completed 17. So I think it starts with the quarterback, right? And it just wasn't Dak's day turning over the ball that many times. It's hard to come back from that and it seemed that the Detroit Lions capitalized on that. With that being said, CeeDee Lamb couldn't get the ball to him much either. 7 receptions, 89 yards. Rico Dwaddle on the ground, 5 carries, 25 yards. It just seems like the offense couldn't get going on this. And once they were that far behind, it's just so hard to catch up and dig yourself out of that hole. I think they kind of quit on the spirit of the game as well. And Detroit got creative with it. They were throwing in linemen at wideout position and all these different types of things and just sharing the ball everywhere. Jared Goff threw for 3 touchdowns. David Montgomery ran for 2 touchdowns, and J-Mo caught a TD. So overall, just a great game for the Detroit Lions and a very upsetting surprise, loss for the Dallas Cowboys going into this, at least as far as the score goes. I thought it would be, somewhat closer, but yeah, good win for the Lions, and they move on to a 4-1 record, and they're 2-0 away too. So that's a good win for them. Almost had 500 total yards, so they continue to keep the momentum going and move to a great record, and we'll see what next week brings with this next matchup.
Yeah, and they were talking about it, I think, during the game too. But their standings in their the NFC North is crazy, man. All of them are over 500. I think Chicago's looking good after their win. Green Bay looks great. Detroit looks good, and then Minnesota's undefeated. So I think they're probably
Hmm.
the division to take on. I don't know. I don't think we've ever seen all four teams make it into the playoffs, but they're going to beat each other up as the season goes and they play each other more. But that'd be pretty crazy to see if they were all to make it in. Um, Anyways, we'll move on into the last game of the week. This game was the Monday night game. Jets taking on the Bills. This was supposed to be a pretty big matchup. You want to see Josh Allen take on Aaron Rodgers, and the Bills end up getting the win. Was it 23-20? Or yeah, I think it was 23-20, right? Um,
23-20. Bills came out on top.
Yep, Bills came out top there. Overall, from this, it seemed like the Jets had a chance to make the comeback to get there. I'd say the highlight for me for this game was the halftime, right before halftime when he did the Hail Mary. That was great to see. Really cool. Just when Aaron Rodgers was able to do that, they said that was his fourth Hail Mary. I think he's completed and scored on. But yeah, just and then the same on the opposite side of the spectrum, he throws that deep pick and loses the game for him. So it could be just kind of tough. It seems like the Bills have a pretty good stronghold over that division. I think they should be able to make it to the playoffs by winning it. And I think the outcome of this game was the trades that we saw today. The Bills saw their need that they needed, and then the Jets also saw, they weren't doing enough to get these wins. So we'll jump to you guys. I'll start with you, Andrew. What are your thoughts on this game, and maybe the thoughts on both these teams' outcomes after the game?
Yeah, so just looking at the standings on this game, Buffalo, they're 4-2, Miami's 2-3, New York's 2-4, and so I think they believe that they got a chance at that as far as New York goes, and Buffalo's already in there, so I think they're beefing up their offensive production with adding Devontae Adams to the Jets as well as Amari Cooper to Buffalo. I think that's something that is key going forward as far as this division goes. With that being said, it was great to see Breece Hall bounce back after the previous weeks as far as fantasy purposes go. He had 18 carries, 113 yards. I think that big play by Aaron Rodgers, we've seen it before in the past, where he throws up that Hail Mary and somehow miracles happen and he comes down with it. That was great to watch, great to see. Something that was surprising to me is how much they used Davis. He had 20 carries for almost 100 yards and three receptions for 55 yards. They utilized him quite a bit, and we saw Cook out. We thought that we'd see a lot more on the passing. Josh Allen, still did great, 215 yards, two TDs. I think he ran one in as well. So I think with this outcome, as far as adding Devontae Adams, you have Alan Lazard, you have they've really built this team around Aaron Rodgers, and they have a lot of weapons, and it looks good on paper. So I'm eager to see how they turn the season around if that happens, what that looks like. With Aaron Rodgers at the helm, Josh Allen continues to pull out wins, and they've been the top of the division for quite some time, a couple years now. So we'll see how it plays out for each of these teams, but overall, very close game, and Josh Allen, the Bills came away with the win. So yeah, Hector, did you catch this game? If so, what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I was watching the game. It was a rough game to watch. The refs were just throwing the flag left and right. It was ugly. Even Rogers, I know he was interviewed today. They were talking about how that roughing the passer call. He's like, that wasn't roughing the passer, and it was against him. So even he knew the refs were a little out of control with the flags. Um, but they had a chance to win it. Didn't help that the wind was
Yeah.
was was so bad. The They couldn't make extra points at one point. It was pretty ridiculous. So it was an ugly game, but honestly, if the Jets had Devontae Adams, I feel like they would have won that game. Um, yeah, Garrett Wilson, he's definitely. I feel like he's going to take a back seat. Definitely, his production is going to go down in fantasy because he's what number 3 in targets in the league in fantasy, um, and that's going to go down with Devontae because that connection with him, and I feel like they're just going to pick up right where they left off in Green Bay. I do see them making the playoffs. Maybe they can re-sign. What's that guy that's holding out? Was it
Reddick. Son
Hassan
Reddick.
Reddick?
Son
Yeah,
Reddick.
yeah. If they can re-sign him, that they're looking good right there. But the Bills, they look good, but they just I don't know something about them. They look beatable yesterday for some reason to
Mhm.
me. I don't know if it's because Cook was out, um, but I did hit on a prop with Josh Allen first touchdown. That was pretty nice.
Nice.
My buddy gave me that one. I didn't think he was going to do it, and it was like plus 800, which was pretty nice prop. So I'm gonna have to start
Nice.
listening to him a little more. So that was pretty good. I think the Bills getting Cooper, that's that's going to be pretty good. Not for Shakir. What's his name? The I think his name's Shakur.
Yeah, Khalil
Yeah, the wide
Shakir.
Khalil
receiver. Yep.
Shakur. Yeah, that's not good for him. But I mean, he hasn't really been producing that much. But I felt like he was the number one there.
I was
Um,
reading that some people believe he it might be better for him I don't know about fantasy wise, but I guess he plays the slot more often, and I
Right.
think having Devontae Adams come in that'll let him play his original position a lot more. Same thing with Kincaid. I think he'll have more quality targets, maybe on the inside or the middle of the field if you can get more pressure on the outside with Devontae Adams. So I think, or not, sorry, not Adams,
Yeah.
Amari
Amari
Cooper.
Cooper.
I think
Hmm.
overall that may
May help him
benefit
out.
by increasing the passing game just overall. So I don't know. It could be interesting. Just more scoring, more plays in general.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, Josh Allen throws it a little bit more. They've been leaning on the run a lot,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Should be good though.
Yeah, I think this game in particular came down to the kicks for me. Greg Zuckerline, was only 2 for 4, 50% of kicks. And then Tyler Bass, 1 for 2. It could have easily went any direction based on these field goals and if they were made, but it looks like quite a few of them were missed. Roughly 50% of the field goals kicked were missed in this game. So it would have been
Greg
interesting to see what that
Greg
looked like.
Zuckerline.
Hmm.
That was a good call. I didn't even
Yeah.
know that guy's name. Yeah, nice.
But yeah, I think that wraps up our week 6 recap, and we are going to move directly into the week 7 matchups where we talk top action and we analyze and preview some of the exciting matchups of week 7. So we'll start with the primetime games. We'll move straight into Thursday night. We have the Broncos. They are 3-3. They are traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. The Saints are 2-3, and they're coming off a loss with Spencer Rattler at the helm. Looks like he will be possibly the starting QB for this week as well, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I think Dart Carr's still out.
Yeah, so I mean, the matchup predictor, they got the Broncos taking it, and I think the spread is roughly
Two, two,
2.5 for this game,
yeah.
2.5. So, let me know your guys' thoughts. We'll start with Hector. Who do you think's going to take this one? Denver Broncos or New Orleans Saints?
It depends on if I don't know if Shaheed still he didn't practice, I think, yesterday. So I'm not really sure if they're gonna have a healthy wide receiving core. Olave is definitely out, I believe. I honestly think maybe the Saints might be able to pull it off. Um, Broncos kind of woke up late last game. They came back a little bit, but I think the Saints take it at home. I think they're gonna lean on Kamara. So I'd probably take the Saints plus points.
Savvy Sav, thoughts on the Denver Broncos and New Orleans Saints?
Yeah, this is a tough one too. I mean, I don't really have much faith in Bo Nix. And Spencer Rattler showed some good signs. They just got outmatched offensively by the Bucks, but it's a short week, so it's tough with all these injuries that they're dealing with.
Hmm.
Um, but I think at home, I'll give it to the home team here. I do like the Saints as well. I think Rattler showed more signs of being a more productive quarterback in my eyes, so I'll take them in the points.
I'm gonna go against the crowd here, and I'm gonna say Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos bounce back, and they get a win on the road. And that's mostly because it's a short week and they're dealing with a lot of injuries. Derek Carr is not going to be playing; he's doubtful for this week. I don't think he's gonna be playing. Alvin Kamara is questionable. I still think he'll play, and I think he'll get a good workload. Shaheed, he's questionable. I don't think he practiced today, but we'll see. How the rest of the week plays out for them. But it seems like they're pretty beat up. I mean, Taysom Hill's questionable as well. Chris Olave is questionable. We don't know if he's going to play. So I think Bo Nix and having Javonte Williams and yeah, they're and Cortland Sutton, who's been putting up points for fantasy, this past week as well. I think they have an opportunity to come away with the win here, and I think a lot of it's going to depend on some of these questionable players for the Saints. But I'll give it to Denver on this one that they win. So
Hmm.
Nice. All right. We'll move into our Sunday night matchup. We got the Steelers playing against the Jets. It'll be in Pittsburgh. This will be right after the big trade, so we'll hopefully maybe get to see Devontae Adams out there. And yeah, the Steelers trying to get on a roll here. Um, I'll just start here. I don't know, man. I think the Steelers playing at home, they have their run game down. And I think the Jets are kind of faltering here and there. They're pretty beatable. This is a tough one. I think this is very close. I'll give it to the home team. I'll ride with the Steelers on this one. I think the Jets still falter and take that loss. Maybe they're going to need one more week to kind of get Adams up to speed. Maybe if they even play, I don't know. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. But I will take the Steelers on this. Hector, who do you got for this one?
I'm probably gonna go with the Steelers as well. They're hot right now. Um, I don't I don't think it's a good idea to start Wilson, especially if Fields. I mean, why mix it up? It seems like they have chemistry now. They got to ride the wave. If they start Wilson, I feel like they're gonna lose, to be honest. So I would take them if Field starts, but if Wilson starts, I'm not very confident in them.
Yeah. Well, we'll go 3 for 3, and yeah, the Steelers are going to take this one in my eyes. I do think Justin Fields, should start. I think he's earned that. The past 6 games, I think he's played well, and he's earned the right to be QB1. And until he has a terrible game or just flat out does not play well, I think he continues to take that role. But when that time comes, I think Wilson is able to step into that role and run that offense. But I think Justin Fields has earned the right to be QB1 in my opinion right now. With that being said, I'm crossing my fingers that Devontae Adams doesn't play. I do have a feeling that he sat out a couple weeks. He's healthy. He's ready to go. And he just was holding out until the trade. And with Adams and Rodgers, that connection and that chemistry, I think they already have some plays. They already have some things that they can implement right away and make an immediate impact on. I think for the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's going to be there's some people that are out. Zach Frazier, our center's out. Nick Herbig, our linebacker, he's going to be out this week here. And so I think that that takes away from our starting players. However, we definitely have depth at the linebacker with Peyton Wilson, and I think we can fill in someone at the center to really fill in those roles. Overall, it's at home with Steelers. The Steelers had a great turnout in Vegas, and our fans continue to be the presence at some of these games and really make the difference as far as the culture and the momentum there at each of these games. And I think it's going to be a rough environment for Aaron Rodgers and company to walk into and walk away with a win. Doesn't mean it's not impossible, but I'm a Steelers fan, and I hope George Pickens gets more involved and we see the passing production pick up here. If we have to rely on the run, that's something that we can definitely do. Najee Harris definitely put up a great game last week, and we got Jalen Warren back from injury, so we can get that 1-2 combo back in there, and we can get it done on the ground as well as through the air. So overall, I'm looking forward to another Pittsburgh win here.
I have a question for a scenario for you, Andrew. In what case would they bench Fields during the game and start Russell Wilson? Like, what do you think would have to happen
During the game,
during the game? They're like, we're bringing out Wilson. We need a jolt to this offense. Like, what would the score need to be?
do they have a chance to come back and come away with a win?
Let's say it's halftime and it's not looking good. You guys are down maybe like 17-21,
We're down 17-21.
down by either 17
Oh,
points or 21
17.
points.
If he's thrown a couple interceptions, I think that's bench worthy. If he's
Okay.
thrown a couple interceptions, I think even at that, I think they might, wait until the third quarter. But at that point, teams can run away with the ball game at that point. Yeah, I think he'd have to have at least, 2 interceptions, if not 3, and his passing percentage just isn't there, and he's just making a lot of mistakes through the air. Because at that point, Russell Wilson can hand off the ball, Justin Fields can hand off the ball, but through the air is where mistakes are made. But I think it gives a different element having Justin Fields, in at quarterback. I think they need to be doing some more flood passes where he's getting outside the pocket, attacking that line of scrimmage, and making some of these defenses either pursue him and throwing it over the top, or dropping back in coverage and allowing Justin Fields to run the ball. He's consistently had running touchdowns in the last 2-3 games, which adds a different element to the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, which hasn't been there in the past. So it's interesting to see that outlook on it. But overall, I think the Steelers walk away with the win in this.
Nice. Well, this should be a fun
Nice.
Sunday night game. definitely a good time. All right, we'll move into Monday night games. Looks like we have a double header. Is this because of the hurricane? Did they have to move stuff around for the Bucks, or was this always a two double header? I'm not too sure. Let's look into that.
Hmm.
But the first game on the docket, we have a pretty good matchup. The Ravens taking on the Bucks. Both teams are sitting at 4-2. And to start, I think Ravens should be able to win this game. It seems like their defense can handle very potent offenses. I know sometimes Baker Mayfield might play her a ball. He's more mistake prone. But I think the Bucks have a good fighter's chance here. If they can get up early, I think if they can continue to put pressure on their Ravens defense, and maybe have Lamar throw more, make some mistakes, it could be a battle of turnovers. Whoever has the most turnovers in this one. I'd probably take the Bucks with the points here. So I'd say they can keep it within three, but I'd say the Ravens probably win this game overall. Andrew, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this one's my upset of the week. This one, I think Baker Mayfield and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and just that offense, they have a really good offense production. And then, you throw rookie Bucky Irving in the backfield there, and he's been producing quite well as well. So, I'm hoping that I I'm as a Steelers fan, I'm hoping that the Tampa Bay Bucks walk away with a win. It's just so hard when you go up against such a good Baltimore, offense and defense. But they're both. I think both teams are coming off great games, and we'll see how it plays out. But ultimately, I think the if it becomes a shootout and we need to rely on the air, I like our chances. I like the Bucks' chances with having Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield. I think that if it needs to come down, passing back and forth, and that the Bucks have a good chance with it. If it's a run-oriented game, I think, and Baltimore's controlling the clock and they're doing good time management, I think Baltimore has a good shot to win it as well. But I'm excited to see Bucky Irving how he does in this game here, particularly with Baltimore's defense, and then what Baker Mayfield can really do. He's been clutch in the past, and he continues to have a great season, elite season this year. So we'll see how it plays out. But I'm taking the Bucks on this one. Hector, what are your thoughts on Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baltimore Ravens?
It's kind of hard picking from those two. It's going to be a pretty good matchup. If I had a bet, I'd probably take the over. It's going to be, I think it's probably going to be the highest scoring game this week. Those offenses are explosive.
Hmm.
Um, and it also has my waiver pickup. Sean Tucker. I don't know if you guys have looked at him. He was the number one running back this past week. He had let me see, he had about 34 fantasy points.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you look him, he got
He's on the Bucks or where?
he's on the Bucks. Yeah. Yeah. If
What?
you look, he had one touchdown, 14 attempts, 100 receiving yards, 56 yards.
Did he just
Uh,
break a
he
couple
yeah
receiving?
yeah
Uh,
he I didn't really watch the whole game, but he got 34 points this past week. So if you look him up, he's on the waiver wire right now. A lot of people don't have him. He's kind of a breakout just because White is pretty much it's a committee right now. It seems like, and I think he's injured now too. Fred White, I believe.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, that's definitely my waiver wire of the week right now. Um, I'm trying to get him because he and Baker Mayfield. That guy's already he's getting MVP talk. I know that's kind of weird to say because it's Baker Mayfield, but I mean they're looking pretty strong right now. He's making some good decisions. He's running the ball. Um, he's breaking the pocket and he's kind of get defenses. I mean, he's not very fast, but he's got some wheels. You know,
Yeah.
he's not a Lamar Jackson, but he's 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 got heart. I mean, I'm still kind of rooting for him because what they did to him in Cleveland. Uh, I'm sure they're regretting that now, but yeah, it's gonna be a great game. The over's looking good to me, even though it's 40. I think it's 49 right now. I like it though. It's gonna be a good game. I do take the Ravens though. It's hard for me to go against Lamar and Henry. Those guys, they're just unstoppable right now.
Yeah. Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, it's going to be a good matchup there. And oh, it's going to be a really good matchup. Second on the docket for Monday night, we have the Chargers. They are 3-2. They are traveling to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. 2-4. So not the best matchup here. I think I'll definitely be tuning into the Ravens and the Bucks to really catch that game. But another, doubleheader on Monday night. So more football on Monday is always good too. What are your thoughts on this one, Savvy Sav?
Man, I've had a lot more faith in the Cardinals this year than I should have. And they've just seemed to disappoint at a lot of points. Without Marvin Harrison Jr., he's probably going to be out with the concussion. I don't know how much this offense is going to be able to do. It seems like the Chargers, I think their defense has been pretty decent this year. I thought they would have more struggles against Denver, but they handled them pretty well. So I don't know. Just once you have Justin Herbert under center, and um, it just seems like they're able to get what they need to do done. I did see that John or Harbaugh was hurt. He had that heart murmur or
Oh,
the heart issue. So I hope
Yeah.
he's okay. It was kind of weird not having him out there and making big calls that they needed, but I'll give it to the Chargers in this one personally. I mean I'm not gonna probably watch much of this game either, but yeah, the Cardinals just have not given me really a lot of hope lately. So I'll take the Chargers on this.
Awesome. Thoughts on this one, Hector?
yeah, I think the Chargers just the better coaching. They got some more talent. They looked really good against the Broncos. That was pretty surprising. My buddy, that's a Chargers fan, he's like, they're gonna win. I just trusted them, put them in my parlay, and um, they looked really good. They kind of gave up some points in the second half, but as long as they can get a good lead, I feel like they can hold the Cardinals. Kyler Murray, I'm not really sure. He's sometimes he'll go off one game and then the next game he doesn't want to run. I don't know if it's the defense they play for the run or something, but he's just really inconsistent. So I'm definitely going with the Chargers.
What's
Yeah,
the oh sorry, I was gonna say what's the stat when I think Call of Duty comes out in 2 weeks. So whenever that drops, statistically he's not that good. So maybe we'll have to bet the under whenever that is.
That's funny.
yeah. Yeah, no, I think this is 3 for 3. I think the Chargers take this, especially the spread. It's 2.5, favoring the Chargers. And I'm starting J.K. Dobbins this week, so I'm hoping that that their offense is clicking and they're running the ball. I think it'll be a run game, with Marvin Harrison out, and Kyler Murray, maybe throwing it to, Trey McBride, and I'm hoping he has a big game too for fantasy purposes. I have both of them. But yeah, I think the Chargers take this one, and they come away with the win. Some notable things, questionable. Joey Bosa is questionable on the defense as far as the Chargers goes. And then, Marvin Harrison Jr. is questionable for, the Cardinals. So just watch, Marvin Harrison Jr. if you do have him in your fantasy lineup, and monitor that as we look to the end of the week here.
Nice. All right, so those are all the primetime games. Got I think some pretty fun ones there. But the rest of the slate, I still think are very good games that we have to watch during the day on Sunday. The first one that I think this could also be in contention for the highest scoring game of the week. You have the Texans at 5-1 taking on the Packers 4-2. This one, I think, will probably be a shootout. You got one of the top two quarterbacks in the league right now when it just comes to offensive output and statistically for both of them. I just feel like they both are very, very talented. Um, Overall, I think with Texans maybe not having Nico Collins, I think just the Packers have been clicking lately. I'm going to take the Packers on this. This is one of my bets this week that I'm really liking. I'm just going to take them to win this to cover. I think they can win by more, like a field goal or more. And being at home helps a lot too. So yeah, give me the Packers. I'll take them here. Andrew, who do you got for this one?
Ooh, this one is going to be a high scoring game. This was going to be a good game and definitely one to look towards the matchups in this specific week here. I like this one and the next game in particular. As far as not being on prime time, I think these are going to be great games. Texans they're 5-1 and Packers are 4-2. Um, it just seems like Packers have been a more explosive team, especially through the air in this game. The Texans, they just got Joe Mixon back. That helps them on the ground, more of a balanced attack. Um, oh my gosh, this one's hard. I think I'm gonna take the Texans on this one. Are they in Green Bay or where are they playing?
It's
They're
in Green
playing in
Bay.
Green Bay.
Yeah.
Ooh, that makes it hard. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna go Packers. It's a home game for the Packers. I think they have the offensive production, especially within the wide receiver room to make this happen. So I'm gonna change it to the Packers. I think the Packers will walk away with the win on this. I think the spread's 2.5 here. So it's gonna be a close game, and Green Bay's at home. Give me the Packers. Thoughts on this one, Hector?
I'll probably have to. I'm gonna lean with the Texans. Um, I think I think their defense is just a little bit better than the Packers defense. I don't I don't really see them really stopping too many uh, drives. I think they maybe stop one of them, but I don't think Green Bay will be able to stop Mixon and Diggs. They have so many weapons. Even with Nico Collins out, they're just they're super explosive. Even though Josh Jacobs is pretty good, I feel like if they can't get the run going, they're going to be able to play the passing game a lot better than the other way around than Houston will. I think Houston's gonna take away the run game and they're gonna be one dimensional. That's what I feel like, and that's why I'm taking the Texans. They will be high scoring though, but I think Houston will be able to stop them at least one time, one or two times.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, I think regardless, this will
Interesting.
be a fun one. So glad we
Yeah,
got differing views here. See who's gonna win and take that one. We'll see if we have differing views on this next one as well. Also another good matchup. We have the Lions at 4-1 taking on the Vikings at 5-0, one of the few undefeated teams left. This will be over in Minnesota. Um, for me, man, I just because of what the Lions were able to do last week, even though they had the loss of Aiden Hutchinson. I think they rally behind that. I think they have scheduled this, since the Vikings started getting hot. They know that this is the team that they need to beat. And Vikings just had their bye. I think that'll be helpful for them, kind of get everyone well rested and back together. But maybe Lions come in there and, knock them in the mouth. I think that they're on a better roll right now. I think it's such a good matchup. So I'm just gonna say the Lions. It's just my thoughts on it right now. I can't really. It could go either way. But I'll start with you, Hector. What do you think on this one?
I'm gonna have to go with the Vikings. They've beaten the Niners. They've beaten the Texans. They beat Green Bay. Just some of the I feel like they've just beaten better teams. Lions are pretty good. The Cowboys, there should be a good team on paper, but they just got walloped in Dallas. Um, yeah, I mean they beat the Rams. I'm not really sure. That's they're. I don't think they had all the pieces back then. I don't think Puka Nacua was playing, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Vikings. Justin Jefferson, he's just too much. Without Hutchison, I think that's gonna affect them, and they're gonna have to kind of learn from this loss, especially if they're gonna be going far in the playoffs. They got Addison should be back as well. I think he's healthy now.
Hmm.
Yeah, give me the Vikings. Definitely gonna be high scoring now. A lot of high scoring games this week.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. Definitely a high scoring game. It's going to be a great game. It's in Minnesota, which makes it interesting to me because they're 5-0, and you think that their fans are going to come out and support, and I think that will be the case. It seems like they coming off a bye. It makes sense that they would at least have the game plan in order for a strong matchup with the Detroit Lions. But like all good teams, I think they have to falter throughout the season. And if there's anyone going to take down, 5-0 team, Detroit's up there, and I think they have the opportunity to do that this week, to go in, on the road and hand the Vikings their first loss. I would be interesting to see if TJ Hawkinson comes back this week or next week, and how that plays into the offensive production for Minnesota. I think with Detroit losing Chris or losing Aiden Hutchinson, it does play a factor, but it won't play that big of an impact on this Detroit team to where they're gonna lose this game. Give me the Detroit Lions taking on the Minnesota Vikings on the road and coming out with the W.
Nice, nice.
Nice.
All right, we'll move in to the Raiders taking on the Rams. This will be in LA. I'm sure there'll be plenty of Raiders fans there, though. I feel like most of the Raiders fans, a lot of them are in LA. This one, uh, I don't know how healthy the Rams are yet. Do they? They don't really have much of their key guys back still, right? Um, and this is tough. Seems like both teams are kind of just in a tough spot right now. Um, I think the Raiders maybe they make their comeback and they can get this win. The Rams have just been looking pretty weak lately. Um, man, I don't know. It seems like both teams are kind of just on the downward slope right now. But I think the Raiders give me more flashes here and there. And if Rams still aren't healthy and don't have their key guys back, I think the Raiders should maybe be able to take this one. Hector, I'll let you start since it's your team playing.
Yeah. Even though I probably want the Raiders to lose, just so we can get Shador or Cam Ward in the next draft, I think they're probably gonna either cover the points for sure or win. This is definitely more of a home game than we had last weekend. There was definitely more Steelers fans in Vegas last week. There'll definitely be a lot more Raiders fans in this one. Give me the Raiders +6. I believe that's the line right now. I don't think there's a lot of injuries in the Rams. Supposedly, I think. Let me see. When is
They said Cup might
Cooper
be
Cup?
back this week,
Yeah,
so if he's
yeah.
back,
So
that may be a little tough.
yeah, the line will definitely move. If Cup is back, I would go with him. Kyron Williams, I mean, that guy's a beast. He. I'd probably go get his backup though because he has known to get injured. So um, we'll see how long he can hold out for, but he's a beast. They're gonna play the run a lot. We'll see how they do, but just give me Raiders +points. That's what I'm going with.
Nice. Andrew, who do you got this one?
Yeah, I think this is a good bounce back game for the Raiders, and with all the injuries that the Rams have, and the Raiders being from California and having a good fan base here, and I think it'll be a good turnout for them, and I think the Raiders can take it by the points. So I'll definitely say the Raiders win this one here.
Is it a
Nice.
morning game? I'm trying to see here.
It's usually I think
It's
they're around
105.
1. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect.
yeah. So it shouldn't
Yeah.
be too bad. Um, all right, we'll move into the Eagles playing the Giants. Eagles are at 3-2. Giants are at 2-4. This one, you know, seems like a scary game again. I thought it last week with the Browns. I wasn't sure if the Eagles would kind of get together. They seem to play down to their opponents sometimes, and Giants have been sneaky here and there. Honestly, they've gotten some really close games. I think Malik Neighbors might be back for this one, so if he's back, that's a huge help for their offensive productivity. But I think that second half against the Browns gave me a lot of hope with the Eagles. It seems like they are getting AJ Brown and Devontae Smith fully back in the rotation. We might be down Goddard, but I still think we can fill in really well with our backups. And yeah, I think our as long as our defense can kind of keep it under control, um, I have a lot of faith in this. I'm actually going to be at this game. I'm going to New York this weekend, so
Nice.
yeah, I'll be checking it out. This will be the second time been to MetLife, so it's not too bad of a stadium. Kind of just in the middle of nowhere in New Jersey, but still cool to check out. So should be lots of Eagles fans, lots of drunk Eagles fans. Should be a fun time. But yeah, give me the birds, give me the points. I think they should be able to handle this game by more than a field goal at least. Andrew, what do you got for this one?
Fly, Eagles, fly. I think you guys move. This would be an easy road win for you guys, and you guys move on to a 4-2 record. And I definitely think you guys can cover the spread here. And the Giants just haven't been looking great, and Malik Neighbors is still questionable. I do think he'll play, but even at that, it just seems like a Danny Dimes and Malik Neighbors type of offensive production. If you guys can shut that down, you guys should walk away with an easy dub.
Nice. Who do you got
Yeah.
for here, Hector?
This is a tough one. Uh, I mean, I do like the Eagles. I'm surprised the spread's only 3 though. Um, let's see. Yeah, give me the Eagles. Danny Dimes, I really don't have any faith in him. Neighbors, that guy's a beast, but if he's not healthy, I wouldn't even I wouldn't put money on the Giants
Healthy
or
enough to
anything
go
like
to
that.
Travis Scott concerts. That's all I
Right?
saw.
Is that what you saw? That's hilarious. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
I don't have any faith in the Giants. I mean, they're probably going to go after a quarterback, so probably best for them to lose and maybe tank, but I don't know. They're kind of locked into to Danny Dimes' contract, so we'll see. But yeah, give me the Eagles. I think the Eagles bounce back. They get the ship right and win this one too.
So I'm hoping for, man. I wouldn't be surprised if they blow it. It's a divisional game, but you know, odds should say the Eagles win this game.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move into our last game, which is another great game, man. We have the 5-0 Chiefs heading over and taking on the 3-3 49ers. Surprising record, but the Niners have been dealing with a lot of injuries, but it seems like they're kind of getting everyone back. I believe Jordan Mason's still out, but you know, like that's what the Niners do too. I feel like for their running backs, they just fill in that role. They have such a strong offensive line that kind of whoever's in the backfield can usually find the hole and do what they need to do. This one should be a good one though. I think the Chiefs always get lucky. They get lucky towards the end of their games. Maybe the refs, a little more on their side, and they're able to squeak out some of these wins. However, I think it stops here. I think with the Niners kind of getting everything back together, I think Debo's back. They should. I think they have everything together on this one, and give me the Niners. I think both undefeated teams go down this week. Don't quote me though. We'll see what happens. But I'm liking this. So, and especially being at home for San Francisco, I think they're getting the ship right, and they need this win pretty badly. So, yeah, give me the Niners. Hector, who do you got for this one?
Going Niners as well. Um, I think Brock Purdy is gonna have a pretty good game this one. Chiefs have so many injuries, and for some reason they always seem to pull it out. They got who's their best wide receiver? Juju. I feel like
Yeah,
that's their number one right now. It's kind of crazy,
Maybe
but
Xavier Worthy,
Xavier, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think Niners defense is going to step up,
That's
and I think I honestly think it's going to be a blowout. But I know that's kind of weird to say against the Chiefs, but I think the Niners are going to own them. They need the Chiefs. I feel like they probably should get a loss, get it out of the way because I feel like that'll. They haven't lost to the last loss was to the Raiders in Christmas. That's the last team to beat them. That's kind of wild, right?
that's pretty crazy.
So yeah, so that I feel like it's their due, and I feel like it's gonna be a Niners. They're gonna show up, and I'm not sure. Is this a primetime game? It's
No,
at 125.
yeah,
That's
it's not
wild.
prime time.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, I'd probably take the under in this. I think they're gonna stop Mahomes, and the San Francisco's probably gonna blow them out. But that's might be a hot take, but yeah, I'm going Niners.
Yeah, I could see like maybe like a 20-21-14 game or something pretty low. So I could see that
Yeah.
happening. Nice. All right. Well, that wraps up. I know we had a lot of games to talk about, so I feel like went over for a lot of these. But yeah, that wraps up our week 7 preview. Yeah, week 7 preview. So glad to go over those. Yeah, anyone who's gonna maybe tail some of these bets or likes our picks that we have, feel free to look into that. But we'll move on to our fantasy section. This will be what we call the Coach's Corner. This is where we'll kind of dive into our fantasy teams, our guest fantasy teams, go over some waiver wire pickups, maybe trade advice, and then yeah, kind of just go over through there. So we'll start with Hector. We'll ask about your team, man. So how many leagues you in? What's your current records right now? Maybe who's your top player that you like that you have, and maybe any fun rules about your leagues. You have any cool punishments? Yeah.
We didn't really set up any punishments, unfortunately. Last time we did one, a person kind of dipped out, didn't end up doing it. But right now I'm 5-1. I just had my first loss this past week. Connor, Gibbs, they all had kind of low games, so it was just yeah, it wasn't the right. It didn't line up for me this week, but my favorite player right now is probably Jamar Chase. I picked him up off a trade. He had pretty bad. His first three games were pretty bad, and so I bought him low. And the next game he had like I believe it was like 49 points or something like that, or
Crazy.
41 points. Yeah. Um, he actually won me my matchup by 0.40 points, which is kind of
Oh wow,
wild.
that's
Yeah,
pretty crazy.
so yeah, I actually have him in both of my leagues. So I would say him and also Jaden Daniels. I got him I think it was the eighth round in the draft. I didn't pick up a quarterback until like the eighth round, and he's worked out. So those are my two favorite guys right now.
Okay,
Um,
nice.
yeah. What about you guys?
Well, for me, I'm in 5 leagues. And
Ooh.
went 2-3 this week, but all my teams are over 500. So I have still playoff hopes going through it. Probably the big matchup I had this week was against Andrew. We
Oh
played
my
against each
gosh.
other, and he was up, I think, over like around 50 points
I
above
was
me.
like, yeah, I was up like 52 points on this man, and he had Josh Allen and
Garrett Wilson playing.
Garrett
That's all
Wilson,
I
and
had
I'm like,
left.
there's no way they're
Wow.
gonna score a combined 52 points. And I was like, oh, I got this in lock. And sure enough, these both of these players, I knew it was over when Josh Allen rushed the touchdown. I was like, they put Davis in, and he rushed all over to get them to there, and they gave it to
Two
Allen.
times Davis
I
did
know.
that.
I was like, what the heck? It was, oh man, that was so dumb. I got you this week in the Avengers League though. I
Yeah.
that's a lock.
So our other league that we're in together, called the Avengers League. There's 6 of us, and because there's only 6 of us, we have a much higher scoring system, and our teams are a lot bigger. So basically, we have all the best players in the league. Like all 6 of us have just great teams. So it's just the best playing each
That's
other.
Avengers. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
it's super fun. So both me and Andrew had were tied for the best record in the league. We both have the most points scored. So we're basically the two titans going against each other right now. I think it's you're Ant-Man and I'm Thanos. So
Yeah.
That's funny.
yeah, so it should be a good one. We'll update you guys next week on how it goes. But I think I got this. I think I got this.
Nice.
Andrew, how about you?
Yeah, this week was not my best record for coaching this week. I went 1-3. Did not do well in any of my leagues. You know, pretty close, and I would say two of them. The other one was not close at all. So we'll bounce back and we'll see how it goes. But I think I got some good matchups facing you in Avengers, and then I think I'm fourth in one other league and seventh in another, and I'm still. Then I think I'm like fourth in two leagues actually. So I think I'm doing pretty good as far as most of my leagues goes. There's only one where I'm kind of struggling at. I think that's a 12-man league, so it's like, ugh. But overall, it wasn't the best week for fantasy for me. But we'll bounce back and if I get this Avengers win, that's all that matters. This Avengers win is what matters this week. So you're going down, Eli.
All right,
You guys
all
have
right.
you guys have a pretty big pot in that one. You guys have the Infinity
Think
Stone.
$100 each. So
Oh,
so
Yeah.
nice.
around yeah. So
Not
that's
bad.
and the winner take all. So yeah, it's like whoever can get that final one. So it should be pretty good. I'm excited. That is one of my favorite leagues to watch because it's just such crazy scoring that it's a good
Yeah,
time.
the scoring is insane on that. It's like 200 plus points every week.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right, so we'll move on from that. We'll go into some waiver wire additions that we like this week. I had a few down here that I jotted down just to kind of give you guys ideas, but I think we mentioned him earlier. But for Juju Smith, he's probably most likely on the waivers. It seems like he's stepped into that, what maybe wide receiver one role for Kansas City. So I think something to maybe look into if you're wide receiver needy, have any buys this week. I'd also say Josh Downs. He had a pretty good performance this past week, and I think if Richardson's still out, Flacco's in, it seems like Flacco is a much better passer for them, and he can kind of get those deep balls down to Josh Downs, maybe get more touchdown opportunities. Um, with Devin Singletary possibly still out, Tyrone Tracy Jr. for the Giants. I think he stepped up into that role and played really well. Definitely running back is always needy in these fantasy leagues. So I think he's someone you can fill in if Devin Singletary's out for another week. And then lastly, the one I liked was Ray Davis. Definitely didn't see this coming. Being the rookie, he really stepped up in that role with James Cook out. And I think he's going to continue to have a role there. Cook might be out another week as well. So if you're really needy, you may want to drop your fab budget, try to pick him up, and maybe help you get another win this week if you need it. But those are just the four that I like. Do you guys have any thoughts, or do you have anyone else that you've been looking into?
Yeah, I think Jacoby Myers is a good one for the Raiders. With Devontae Adams gone and them going up against the Rams and Matthew Stafford, it seems to me like it might be a shootout. And he's like the second best option on that team, behind Brock Bowers. But if you're needing, someone to throw the ball downfield to, and I think having Devontae Adams out of the picture clears up some room for Jacoby Myers if he's healthy. Same thing with Jerry Jeudy and Amari Cooper now being out of the picture. Might be some of these guys that move into these number one wide receiver roles for their team, and if they can make a splash or make the most of their opportunity, might be worth picking up.
Yeah, for me, the guy I had mentioned earlier, Sean Tucker, with his breakout game. I mean, he might not do exactly what he did, 32 points last week. He's a running back one. Um, but he's definitely a good pickup. I think he's like 13% um, on the waiver wire, so he's definitely going to be on there. I would go with him. Jalen Wright would be my second. With Achan injured, if you're looking for running backs, those are the two that I would definitely go for. He got 8 points last game, but he's going to have a lot more rushes, a lot more attempts, especially if Moser and Achan are both out. I'm not sure if his passing, if he's got any good passing stats, but yeah, I don't know about that, but he's definitely if you're one of your running backs is on bye or anything like that, I'd definitely go for him.
Yeah, what?
Jacoby Myers, yeah, that I would definitely go with him as well, but I feel like he's already picked up. I'm not sure if he'd be on the waiver wire right now. He's definitely gonna be the number one for sure, though.
Yeah, for yeah, Jacoby Myers probably hard to find him. Maybe you could try and make a trade too if someone's just not really utilizing him. Um, who was your second guy that you had?
Jalen
Me?
Wright.
Jalen Wright. Sorry. For Jalen Wright, yeah, I think with Tua back, that should help that offense come alive more, and maybe they will have more, in the red zone opportunities, goal line opportunities. Yeah, I think you could fill in a good running back there. So Jalen Wright would be hopefully a solid pickup if Tua can kind of get back to form and maybe
Is he
just.
back this week?
I think they are expecting him to be back this week. So
Okay.
that may be a smash hit then try to
Yeah.
get that offense going because without him, I don't want to touch anyone on that offense. Not even Tyreek, man. It just seems like they don't give you
Yeah.
a whole lot.
It's kind of crazy how big a quarterback can impact the whole fantasy like wide. Because I know like Justin Jefferson's like QB proof, but not Hill. And I thought he was QB proof.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
So it'll be interesting. But those I think those are solid pickups for both you guys. So yeah, hopefully I think usually we post this by Thursday, so we'll have to see if you're listening to this now, you probably already had your waivers, but I wish you luck. I hope you're able to get these guys and maybe try to make some trades to see if you can acquire any of these other people. All right, moving on from the waiver wires, we'll go into some injury updates. We talked about it earlier, but obviously Aiden Hutchinson, I think, was the biggest injury. That's such a key part of that defense for the Lions. It's a really bad broken bone, so he's going to be out for the rest of the season, most likely. They haven't fully confirmed it, I think, but he had surgery right after that game, so it looked pretty bad. Um,
Yeah.
Travis Etienne, he went out with a hamstring injury, and now he's going to be week to week. Fire up Tank Bigsby. think he's a guy that team's been pretty disappointing, and just him getting hurt now, that's going to be even harder for him when it comes to fantasy. Marvin Harrison Jr., guy with that concussion, he was out the game. He didn't even get any points, so he started him. That's really tough because yeah, you weren't able to get any production out of that. It just seems like that offense. He has such good games sometimes, and then it sucks him going out and being hurt for this one. Um, and then Chris Olave also went out with a concussion. That was tough to see. That offense. Not saying that it relies around him, but he's very, very useful. And I think Rattler really needs a good wide receiver one like that. So him being out's gonna be tough for that team. But yeah, just monitor that day to day. The concussion protocol can usually take an extra week, so we'll have to wait and see. All right, we'll be moving on to the best and worst performances of week 6, and I'll let Hector take this away.
All righty. So the top performances, I would say QB Caleb Williams, kind of a breakout game, 28.6 points. He's looking like he's kind of catching his stride. I feel like um, they kind of carried him, the team, the Bears, they kind of carried him the first couple games. Now he's finally using his legs, and he's definitely a good pickup. Him and Jaden Daniels are kind of they're they're definitely as advertised. I feel like Baker Mayfield, underdog, great underdog story. He's got 26.9 points. That's I think he's like the number 2 QB right now in fantasy. Jared Goff, he's always solid, 26 points. I figured they have a little bit more with the numbers they put up, but they did run the ball quite a bit. As far as the running backs, Sean Tucker, like I said, he's on the waiver wire right now, 34.2 points, which is wild. Joe Mixon, he's healthy. I guess the time that he took off definitely helped because he picked up right where he left off, 27 points. And Bijan Robinson, they're finally putting some use to him. Him and Algier, I feel like it was going to be kind of a committee, but Bijan's so explosive. 25 points is solid. Wide receivers, Chris Godwin, 36 points. Definitely anybody on the Bucks, I feel like is very explosive. If you have them, keep them. Garrett Wilson, 24 points, solid. I feel like his production is definitely going to go down though. He's definitely he's got the most touches right now. He's got the most. So with Adams coming in, that's definitely going to be hurting his stats quite a bit. Alan Lazard, 24 points. Um, him and Aaron Rodgers just have really good chemistry. So he's a solid pickup if he's on the waiver wire, but I'm pretty sure most leagues have him taken. Tight ends, Cole Kmet, 24 points. Solid pickup. I feel like one of my buddies got him off the waiver wire, and that's just uh, he had a breakout game right there. George Kittle, 22 points, and Evan Ingram, 18. Those are solid tight end numbers. Worst performances, Kirk Cousins, 12.5, Kyler Murray, 11.9, and Dak Prescott, 3.2.
Oh, Dak.
That's
Oh,
wild.
Ugh.
Oh my God. That's definitely oof. Running backs, Saquon Barkley. I guess they didn't really need him. They definitely were the passing team this time. James Conner, I have him in my league. That one hurt. 6.6 points. Javante Williams, 4.6. Yeah, that's pretty rough. Wide receivers, DJ Moore, 6 points. Brandon Ayuk, I know this one hurt, Andrew. 5.7.
I wonder who told me to play him.
Hey man, I just said it was gonna be the highest scoring game, and yeah, I did not. I would definitely hold on to him though. I mean, the Niners have a easy schedule in the playoffs, so.
Yeah.
Mike Evans, 5.4. That's kind of disappointing, considering Chris Godwin. But yeah, those are the performances,
nice.
the
All right. Well,
worst ones.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much for that, Hector.
yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully some of these worst performance guys can make a comeback next week. We got a lot of high scoring games, hopefully. Looks like it. So, good matchups. And yeah, I'm excited for it. So, hopefully, these guys bounce back for you. Move into the betting segment, our odds and ends part of the podcast, where we go over all the bets that we had, upsets of the week. We used to do survivor picks, but that flew out the window after we lost three in a row. So let's just forget about all that. Um, and yeah, so we'll just jump right in. I'll let you guys start. Did you have any good bets you made over the weekend? How much money did you make? If you want to talk about that, or yeah, anything. I'll start with you, Hector.
Yeah, I had a couple parlays that hit. I usually mix my bets with college football and NFL. So I had the teasers. I don't know if you guys are familiar with those.
Mhm.
They literally give you, it depends what kind of teaser you get. You get plus 6 points, depending on how many teams you do. So I had the Ravens, pretty much money line, Texans. I had the over and the Buccaneers and Saints, which hit in halftime. So that was wild. I had Steelers, unfortunately, for my Raiders. I had them plus 4. Falcons money line, and then I had LSU, which was definitely a sweat. That was a great game though. Yeah, $100 to win 600. So
Sheesh.
that was pretty good. Um, I did have another parlay that hit as well, which had some baseball as well. That was pretty wild. I had the let's see, um, let's see. Actually, this one had women's basketball had the Liberty first half. Dodgers, Dodgers, Detroit -1.5. Baltimore first half. Eagles, Chargers, Bengals, and Steelers first half. Now won $50 to win 1384.
Wow,
That was pretty
Damn,
nice.
that was
nice
crazy.
man.
Yeah, that was
That's
pretty
probably the
nice.
biggest one we've seen this season.
Yeah. Yeah, those eight leg team ones they're rough, but if it lines up, I mean, it's worth it. 50
The
bucks.
the fact that you hit two in the same weekend, two big
Yeah.
ones, like that's
Yeah.
huge, man.
Yeah, the teaser ones you do have to bet quite a bit more to make money. I mean, $100 for 600 return is not a lot of money, but they give you extra points, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's kind of like an alt line. So that yeah, yeah. Though I'm a little more confident in those, but definitely risking more on 50 to for 8 legs. That was definitely worth it. How about you guys?
Yeah,
All right.
definitely don't have any big bets like that going on. I had a pizza bet with Tristan on the Raiders and the Steelers game, so we got some pizza for the Sunday night game, which we enjoyed. That was a great win for the Steelers, and then I also had a bet with Hector about $25 for the Steelers and the Raiders game. So with his winnings there, he paid me out $25. And then I had an underdog. I had two underdogs, which I had Aiden O'Connell throwing an interception, Najee Harris scoring a touchdown, and Brock Bowers going over 57 receiving yards. And then I also had Aaron Rodgers going for 21 and a half completions. He had 23. Dalton Kincaid over 38.5 receiving yards. He had 50. And then Alan Lazard scoring a touchdown, which prayers are answered in that one because that was just a Hail Mary at the end of the half to so won some money in that. Nothing too crazy. Like 120 and then 48-20 for the other one. So
Nice.
nothing too crazy, but couple bets there that worked out. I also had two other ones that lost. So yeah, underdog and prize picks were my go-to this week, but got some pizza, got some winnings, and looking forward to putting some of this into next week. So, what about you, Savvy Sav? Did you come out on top for betting?
Um, no, but I broke even, and the way I broke even was not a smart move. You're not supposed to do this, but for my official picks, I made on the podcast last week. We went 1-2, so not good. Green Bay, or not, sorry, not Green Bay. Washington plus 6.5. That missed. That was very, very close. I really thought they'd make a comeback. I even had them winning in that game, and they couldn't get that. Denver +3. I thought that was a lock as well. I thought their defense was able to hold it down, but Chargers just looked great, and they were able to do what they needed to do. The only one I had hit was Houston -7, and that was usually a pretty big spread, but I thought they should be able to beat New England pretty handily, and they did. But I think I was down maybe 150 on the day. And so I decided to take a decent chunk of my betting account and I put it all on the Bengals to win. And it was like -190, but I was like, whatever. I just want to get my money back. So I chased and I sweat that game. I was sweating, man. It seemed like a couple times the Giants were gonna make that comeback. But yeah, Bengals were able to get the win. I was able to breathe. And they even covered too. I kind of wish I put money instead there, but it's fine, you know. So yeah, I just able to break even and live to fight another weekend to bet. But yeah, so good times, good times. Move in to our upsets of the week. This is where we chose teams last week to be a big upset. Pretty much all of us went 0-3. None of us got it. I had Washington over Baltimore. That missed. Andrew had the Cardinals over the Packers. That missed. And our guest, he had the Jets over Buffalo. I believe at the time the spread was a little bigger, but that also did not miss. It was close, but yeah. So far my record's 2-3. Andrew's is 1-4, and our guests have not gotten one yet. So they have
Be
not
the first
gotten
one,
us.
Hector.
So
All
we'll
right.
see. We'll see if Hector can break that streak for our guests. And then really quick, we'll recap our player props from last week. Also did not go well at all. We had Saquon Barkley over his rushing. That did not hit. They didn't really use him there. Jamar Chase, very close, but he did not
This is
hit his
surprising.
over in receiving, was 80.5. He only got like 72. And then Marvin Harrison Jr., that was a pretty much a reboot. He got
Push.
hurt, yeah, as soon as the game started. So not much you could do there about that. I thought there'd be more production there. But yeah, so this week I don't have any player props for you guys. I need to give myself a week to kind of recoup and go back to the drawing board on that. Haven't been doing too well there. But for our week 6 bets, these are the bets that I like this week. But I'm probably gonna mess around with, see what I can do. I do like Miami with Tua back at +3.5. I think they can keep this one close. I'm just hoping that they can stay healthy throughout this one, and yeah, I want to see that old offense that we saw before. Um, I decided to throw this one last minute. San Francisco -1.5 versus the Chiefs. I'm still standing by this. I think that they should be able to win this game straight up. 1.5 is pretty much a pick 'em to me, so I'm just going to take that. They should be able to win this game by a field goal or more. And lastly, my money line pick that I'm gonna take for plus money, Lions over the Vikings. I'm feeling still confident about that, and yeah, it's +115. I think that'll be a shootout. Regardless, it'll be fun to just have some money to sweat on. So yeah, I like those three. Do you guys have any locks or any bets that you really like this week?
No, those are great ones. I think you're right with, Tua being back. If he does start, I think that gives life to that Miami offense and they can keep it close. I think that'll be an aired out attack with Miami's offense and, Flacco playing for the Colts. So we'll see how that plays out. I think SF can definitely give the Chiefs the first loss. And I like the Lions over the Vikings, so I like these a lot.
Nice,
Yep.
Hector. Do you have any 8-game parlays you can share with us that maybe we could try to win something here?
Well, I mean, I'd probably go with the Commanders, the Raiders +points. I do like the Texans. Actually think the Seahawks will beat the Falcons this week. And then my upset of the week is the Patriots beating the Jags. So I probably, if you take a money line, that should be some good money if you take all those 6 teams.
All right.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in those.
All right, Andrew, you got those down? You wrote those down or what?
I did not write those down, but we have it on recording, so
You have it on recording, so I will
I'll send
go
the
back
ticket over.
All right. Well, we'll see what those plus odds are. See if we can win some money. But yeah, all right, cool. So those are some of the bets we all like this week. I think it should be a really fun slate, regardless. So should be a good time. And then we just mentioned upset of the week. So Hector, he just said he had the Pats over the Jags. That's a 5.5 spread. So that I think that could be interesting. It's gonna be in London. The Jags, I thought they were better in London, but they just got demolished last weekend. So we'll see how that one goes. Mine's gonna follow the same suit. I'm taking the Dolphins over the Colts. It's 3.5 spread. So I'm really pushing it there. But I think that they should have a good shot, like I explained. And then Andrew, what is your upset of the week?
I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Ravens. I think if it becomes a shootout, Baker Mayfield's been playing elite status quarterback this year, and I think he's number 2 in fantasy quarterback rankings right now. And he's got Chris Godwin, just came off a monster performance, I think roughly 20, 30 points. And I think it's Mike Evans' turn, to get some points on the board for fantasy purposes, and hopefully get a touchdown in there. And I think they can come on top and beat the Ravens. So I'll take the Bucks over the Ravens, 3.5.
Nice, nice. All right, so that concludes our odds and ends portion of the podcast. Good luck to everyone this weekend. Hope you guys can win some money and try to get a little rich. Get those teasers and those parlays in. All right, moving into our last section, the touchdown trivia. This is just kind of where we have a fun question, usually relating to maybe our guests and their favorite teams. So our recap question from last week, the question was, after the Dolphins made the Super Bowl VIII after the 1973 season, what was the next season that they saw Super Bowl action? The correct answer was the 1984 Super Bowl 19. So you got that right on Spotify polls. Congrats. You got it. I don't have a prize for you, but good job. Moving into our trivia question for week 7. In what year did the Raiders move to Las Vegas? Options are A, 2020, B, 2021, C, 2022, and D, 2019. Normally we ask our guests as well what the correct answer is. Hector, do you for sure know what the answer is?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. So since you for sure know, we'll just have you hold off and we'll let our guests take a crack at it. Feel free to go into our poll on Spotify and answer the question, see if you can get it right. And we'll announce the correct answer next week on our next show. That pretty much concludes it, guys. Thank you so much for checking out the pod, and thank you so much, Hector, for coming on today and sharing all your good football insight and knowledge with us.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone please follow us on Spotify, Instagram at Touchdown Times. And feel free to like, comment, share, just let the world know about this fun little podcast we got. All right. So anyways, thank you guys again. Just want to sign off. It's Savvy Sav.
Halo signing off. Thanks for tuning in to Touchdown Times. Appreciate the time, Hector. And follow us on social media.